As stay-at-home, homeschooling, homemaking, oftentimes working from home moms, how do we fit all the things in that need to be done in a given day? That is a challenge for sure. And today I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've put into place to help me balance that a little bit better. Certainly not perfect, but a little bit better. And we're going to talk about that as we go through a little cleanup of our own disastrous homeschool room. I did a decluttering video here in this very homeschool room about this time last year. And if I were to be completely honest with you, I have not touched this shelf or our craft closet hardly at all since that point. And it is desperately in need of some going over. So I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna go through some of this stuff and just chat a little bit about balancing that homeschool, homemaking life. And lest you think I am perfect at this, that is certainly not the case. I am definitely a work in progress. And if you have any tips, I would love to hear from you. I'm always trying to figure out how to streamline this process a little bit better. But today we'll talk about a few things that I have found to be very effective in our home. Today's video is a collaboration with my friend Jamie over at Simply Living It. If you do not know Jamie, you definitely need to go check out her channel. I will have a link to that in the description below. Jamie and I are kind of living parallel lives, and it is so fun to see that she has 3 boys, similar ages to mine. We have very similar homeschooling styles and philosophies and all of that kind of stuff. So if you enjoy my videos, I know that you're gonna love Jamie as well, so make sure you check out her channel. First off, I'm gonna start out with 3 bins here. I've got one for trash, I've got one for things that don't belong in this room that need to migrate to their homes in different parts of the house, and then one bin for things that are still in good repair that we can either donate or sell. So I'm just gonna get this out there from the get-go. No one can do all of the things perfectly. I think we all know that, but we still tend to put this pressure on ourselves to make sure we are doing everything we need to do in our homeschool, taking care of every area of our home, maybe even working at home and doing all of those things really well. And the truth is, there's always going to be some things that fall through the cracks. And I think once we can get past that place and get to the place of realizing that things are going to be forgotten, things are going to be messy from time to time, then that's when we can allow ourselves to take some of that pressure off our shoulders, to not neglect our duties, but to not feel so incredibly burdened by them. It's especially important to keep this in mind if you are a mom with young kids in the home. It can be helpful to remember that it is just a season. When I had young kids, I always clung to Isaiah 40 verse 11, where it says, "He tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young." As moms, he cares what you're going through, the struggles you're facing, the hardships, the busyness, the exhausting days, and sometimes even nights. We are to cast our cares on him because he cares for us. I'm so thankful for that. So why do we put all of this pressure on ourselves in the first place? I think on some level, part of it is that comparison trap. We look at social media, we see what all these other moms are doing. It looks like their lives are perfect, their homeschools are rainbows and butterflies and everything goes well. And we assume that their house is perfectly maintained, that they're working effortlessly from home, but we don't see what's happening behind the scenes. I feel like this has been one of the worst components to social media since its advent because it has taken that idea of keeping up with the Joneses to a whole nother level. And it is impossible to keep up with the standards that are out there. It just is. And so then we feel guilty for not being able to do all the things that we envision that everyone else is doing perfectly. Am I right? I know I am, for me anyway. And that ties in perfectly to my first tip, and that is to limit our social media. And this works on a couple of different levels. First, the less time that we are on social media, the less time we are then comparing ourselves to others, because we are not seeing feed after feed after feed of picture perfect homes and homeschools. And secondly, that actually frees us up then to spend more time maintaining our own homes and homeschools. This has certainly been true in my life, And I know it can be true across the board as well. I got rid of Facebook off of my phone probably a year and a half ago, and Instagram several months ago. I took it off my phone. Now both of them are only accessible if I log in on my actual laptop or a tablet, which I intentionally try not to get on during the day. And so by not having so much time that I used to be on social media, now I have more time to dedicate to my kids. I certainly feel like my mental health is so much better having removed that from my phone, so it is no longer as easily accessible. I'm not saying that you need to remove all of those things, but you need to do what's best for you. And I do feel like if you, at the very least, limit your time that you spend on social media, that will be a tremendous habit that you will see benefits from immediately. My second tip is to try block scheduling your day. When we are constantly being distracted by all the things all through the day, it makes it really hard to get anything done. So the idea with block scheduling then is to make sure that you are dedicating your full attention to whatever task is at hand while you're working on that project. So for example, say you are homeschooling from 9 to 1. You want to then block out 9 to 1 on your daily calendar, Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, whatever you do, for homeschooling. And then your time is dedicated only to that. And you are not working on any other thing except homeschooling during that time. If you work from home, you also want to definitely block out a time for working so that you can be dedicated to that. Your kids and your family know that during that time of day, that is mom's work time, and not to interrupt you so you can get your work done and be focused on it. That is key. It can be helpful then to block in a time for doing chores or housework as well. Maybe that's before the kids get up, some point in the afternoon while the kids are playing outside or doing some of their independent free play time. In the evening, whatever it is that works best for you, block a chunk of time out for that on your calendar. And then it's helpful to set yourself up some kind of system or routine to help you get through all of the chores that need to be done. So for example, maybe Monday and Thursday are your laundry days, that during that time you're working on laundry. And then maybe Tuesdays, you give the bathrooms a once over. Wednesdays, you wash some windows or do some dusting. You get my point. There are a lot of cleaning systems out there that are really helpful if that is something that you need a little bit more work with. I know that there's one called Fly Lady and another one called Clean Mama, I think it is. I will link those in the description below if you need a little bit more help kind of coming up with a game plan for how to tackle your actual household chores. As much as I know that this one is so important, it is definitely one that I still am working on getting better at and putting this into place more consistently in my life. Having that dedicated time and knowing that there's a fixed time is key, because then you know that you can work on your projects during that time, and then when that time comes up and it's time to move on, you have done the best that you can during the time that is allotted to you, and then it's time to move on to the next thing. And then you don't have to feel so guilty about not getting all of the things done that you thought you needed to do, because you have worked hard and you've done the best that you can. Another tip is to make that time a reward. Something that I have found helpful for me when it comes to especially doing homemaking chores, things that I don't really want to do, but I know need to be done. I have found that for me to actually want to do those things, washing dishes, folding laundry, whatever it may be, it is helpful to have that time for me dedicated to where I can do something like listen to a podcast I've been wanting to listen to, or have an audiobook going, or have a YouTube video playing in the background to teach me something new. Having that as kind of a motivator to want to spend the time doing that task at hand has been really beneficial for me. I actually look forward to cooking dinner every night and somewhat cleaning up the mess, because I can have that time in the kitchen to myself where I can listen to an audiobook or something that I have been wanting to listen to. And then that becomes a little bit less of a burden and more of something that I look forward to, maybe not the chore itself, but having that time to myself to do something for myself. That's a lot of myselfs, but you get my point. Or I have heard of moms doing something like giving themselves a reward after the job is done. So if they are going to be dedicating an hour to decluttering an area in the room, when they're done with that, that's when they treat themselves then to 15 minutes of scrolling social media or a chocolate or whatever it is, whatever that reward is. But having a reward when you complete your task can often be a good motivator to just get started. My next tip is to get help. As moms, we often put far too much pressure on ourselves to fill all of the homeschooling, homemaking roles at the same time. But there is no reason that any of us should feel like we have to do everything ourselves. I'm sure you probably enlist your kids already in doing some household chores, but I challenge you to consider if there are some other things that you might be able to pass on to them that they can start taking more responsibility in as they get a little bit older. Or maybe there are some things that if you have the capability of doing it, that you can hire someone to help you with. Now, this doesn't have to be a weekly or even bi-weekly house cleaner, that kind of thing, although that would be amazing. I would love that. Totally. That would be my dream come true. But there have been times, for instance, that say my floor hasn't been mopped in a month because I just haven't had time to do that. I have paid one of my kids $5 for them to do the mopping for me. And I can tell you that is definitely $5 well spent. Or if you only have small kids and maybe know another family that has a teenager in the home that might like to earn a little pocket change, perhaps you can hire them to either come over and help you with a few odd jobs around the house, or maybe even just watch your younger kids for you so you can get some work done. So if there are some things like that that you can help, enlist someone else to take a little bit of that pressure off of your chest, maybe some of those things that aren't top key priority that don't have to be done by you. I encourage you to definitely take advantage of that possibility. Another thing that we have done in the past as a family is to have like Saturday morning cleaning time, where we had a certain amount of time that we blocked out that was all hands on deck. Everyone in the family was working until my whole list of things that I wanted us to get done that day were done, and then we had time to go play. So you can incorporate something like that as far as the homemaking aspect, the household chores and that kind of stuff is something that is definitely very beneficial from time to time. If you're curious about how we do chores here in our family, please let me know in the comments below. If there seems to be enough interest in it, I will make a video about how we handle chores here in our home. And another tip that I have talked about multiple times here on my channel is to give yourself grace. I feel like that is the most important one. We have to get to a place where we can know and recognize that we can't do everything perfectly, and that is okay. We have to learn to be okay with good enough. All we can do is the best that we can do. And there is freedom in knowing that whatever we do, as long as we've given our best effort, the Bible tells us that God's grace is sufficient for us, and that through our weakness, His power is put on display. Because then it's not us being perfect and shining the light on how great we are, but it brings Him honor and glory when we are weak so that He can be strong through us. And so when we can give ourselves grace and know that we are doing the best that we can, we are working heartily as if for the Lord, not for men, then we can truly then get to a place of more freedom in our own minds to know that God is pleased with our efforts and we are doing the best that we can to take care of our family, and that is all that we can do. If you need some more homeschooling, homemaking tips, all of those things, make sure you check out this video right here that I did about a year ago with some other things that I didn't talk about today that are in there for you. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button below. Share it out with anyone else that you think might find it helpful. And make sure you go check out Jamie's video right after this one. Again, there's a link for that in the description below. Thanks for watching. Bye.